welcome to the fourth and final review of the session. Up this time is Dead Age 2. Now, we reviewed Dead Age a few years back. If I'm remembering, I think that was back in the Talk Shoe era. Like, how long ago that was. Like, aside from that, I don't remember a whole lot from Dead Age 1. I remember it being a turn-based zombie survival game and being fairly mediocre. Um, that was the first game. Dead Age 2 just came out. Like, yeah, like a few weeks ago, actually. And this was given to Twilight for review. So take it away, Twilight.
All right. Yeah. Stage 2 is pretty much the same as it was just described, as the original was just described as. It's a turn-based RPG survival zombie apocalypse game, and it's the sequel, and not just being the second game, but also in terms of its story. This takes place some time after the original, where they apparently um, had managed to put an end to the apocalypse, but the dead ended up coming back anyway, and they're going through all this hell again with the zombies. But they got a cure for the infection, but it's like it's kind of in limited, apparently some limited supply or something like that, and they're just the world is, or at least for taking place in apparently America, is trying its best to ride this whole mess out, or and trying to band together and whatnot to stand against the threat of human extinction, pretty much. Um, yeah, for a story, you're playing as a character named Jason. It's hinted that he alluded to that he was in the original, but I played the original myself. And I don't remember much about it either. But he's the
He was.
heir.
He just didn't have a name then.
Possibly, you can rename him, and yeah, he might not actually had a name or something like that. Yeah.
He was one of the nameless NPCs of some sort.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Um, he's sort of the heir to the main character of the previous game, who is in this game, Steven. And he's the heir, as in Steven himself has apparently got the infection, and all the cure can do for him is to slow it down, and he's not expecting to make it through the apocalypse or something like that. And so he's chosen Jason to be his to succeed him as the leader of their camp. And so yeah, basically the whole story is that there are four different factions. There's Jason's camp. There's the Independents. There's this, I guess you could say, the left, more of a civilian-based group or something like that. I just know that it's kind of hard to describe them actually, but there's also the U.S. military or U.S. Army camp. Um, Obviously, they're the U.S. Army, and they're um, represent represent themselves as the best that humanity has for surviving the apocalypse, and that everyone needs a strong leader and a force to, while true, in some sense. But yeah, they're the well anyway. And then there's the I don't remember what they're the smugglers or something like that. They're the raiders, the bandits, and such. The criminals basically. Obviously the guys you don't want to be with or um, go up against in this whole mess, besides the zombies. But yeah, so basically, throughout the story, what you're doing here is that you're basically who's choosing who to stand with, while also trying to survive. And there is a sort of story here, but I didn't get too far into that myself. I spent most of my time just um, doing tasks for the independents in the U.S. Army, and well, occasionally butting heads with these smugglers. I managed to kind of sort of on their good side to some extent, but yeah, it wasn't the best way though. I actually kind of bullet my way into their base and in order to do a quest here. To get into the gameplay here. So the gameplay is that yeah, as you can see here, you're basically what you're doing here is you're going to be doing a lot of crafting, in order to build weapons, armor, um, and generate food for your people. While occasionally doing, well, not just occasionally, but doing quests in order to further your camp's survival. Um, this will, of course, require resources. Resources being scrap, um, water, food, materials. I'm not exactly sure what is actually supposed to be the difference between scrap and materials, but there is a difference there. And yeah, you will be using food and water while having people um, craft stuff. You start off usually with about 3 people from the beginning. It's kind of random in a way. I've actually done like about 3 or 4 different playthroughs of this. I never did actually beat the game, but usually when I ran into sort of a problem while during the first few attempts, I basically just start back over and see what I could do differently to um, uh, well do better. Um, and you usually start off with different characters. You'll always have Jason and Steven there. Steven's a kind of sort of party member for your group, but he's AI controlled. You have no real direct control over him. Otherwise, you'll have like maybe 2 other characters, or one other character. It kind of, yeah, actually, yeah, usually 2 other characters. When starting out with this, I started off with 2 characters named Sarah and Lance. Lance, well, I actually liked Sarah. Honestly, she's just kind of useless for the most, a lot of times. I actually like the other female character you can start off with Tessa. Um, I'll get into what actual differences they make here in a little bit here, but yeah. Um, yeah, so you can usually pick one of your um, 3 characters, Jason, whoever else you start off with, and you can choose to have them do some crafting. Though you'll likely want to not do that during the day period, but more at night. Um, since during the day is when it's safest to be running around in the world of the zombie apocalypse and while collecting resources and doing quests and other tasks. Since obviously at night it's much more dangerous, and that's usually the time you want to direct some of your characters to do things. Like some characters apparently have certain talents for certain crafts, like I know Sarah is better with medical stuff. Lance is good for like the more putting stuff together and such. Since he has a pretty um, very high engineer skill set. I'll be getting more into that here in a little bit. Yeah, some characters are better with obviously with some things than others. And besides the crafting, you also at night also have to might want to have somebody standing guard in case zombies or some bandits try to invade the base. It's actually can improve will give your character some experience. Whoever it is you choose to do this. Usually somebody you want to have a high alert stat with. Mm. Um, with the crafting, well, obviously you want to you'd be crafting like med kits. Obviously, as I already said, armor. Armor crafting is kind of interesting. You can choose what kind of advantages you want this, whatever armor you are crafting. Yeah, what advantages you want it to have, like defensive, agility, or I forget what else. What other advantages you can give it, but yeah, you can choose focus on certain traits basically. Armor, they be crafting or even finding out in the world would be like gloves, jackets, pants, hats, some sort of headwear. Um, yeah, they of course equip your character. You also be crafting ammunition for your weapons, for your guns, um, as well as crafting both guns and certain melee weapons, sort of like clubs, crowbars, or even some blade weapons like knives, swords. Some characters like Fernando on the footage here, he uses a saber. Um, um, let's see here. And of course, there's for the food. Instead of crafting, it's more like a just generating food. At night or during the day, you have a character standing guard to shoot any wild animals that happen to come by, and the amount of food that generates is just depends on their skill with weapon with firearms. Um, anyway, one other thing for bases, well, base operations is that's worth mentioning is that there's the comms. That's basically for um, sending out scouts to find resources they can go and collect. I will talk more about that in a little bit when it comes to the map. Well, I guess I should talk about the map now, actually. Unlike the other game, from what I've looked into, there's an actual world map that your um, characters you have them travel around on, and there's like a um, certain areas that will have resources like the food, water, medical supplies, and such, and you go into those and you'll have like a you're traveling like through like usually like three phases of certain areas, or like a like at one point you'll probably encounter enemies, and then at some other point you'll find some resources, or maybe even encountering other survivors that you can either trade with or help in combat. Uh, so yeah, when it comes to trading, you'd be trading maybe some sort of weapons or items of some sort that might help you for um, to gain something useful in return. It's pretty obvious what I'm getting at there. I'm trying to think of what else is worth mentioning there. You can of course go to the on the world map. You can also go to one of the other bases um, of the different factions. Depending on your standing with them, standings determines pretty much how much they like you, and and whether or not you'll be able to enter their base without conflict. And while there, you can shop for items and other resources. Well, like resources like food, water, equipment, and so on. You can also look into doing quests for that faction to improve your standing with them. They may send, they may want you to like clear out the zombie population, or have you basically playing bodyguard for an NPC, um, and some other things. Um, it's also where you can get healed at as well, if you don't want to use any of your items for healing. Um, so see now. Uh, that about covers everything in terms of the world map. I really should be talking about the combat here. And the most probably the most interesting part of this game. So the combat here is yeah, the while traveling on the world map, there may be times where you're resource hunting, you'll come across enemies of like the zombies, or bandits or other survivors. This can happen while resource hunting, or even between traveling points, where you will have an encounter. Um, so the combat is still turn-based. This time, though, you have a front and back row that you can move your characters between during their turns. Characters will always start off in the back, um, and there's always a party of three. Um, in the back, your usual options for fighting will always be to, depending on if they're equipped with a weapon or not. Well, I mean, equipped with a gun or not. You have a gun, you'll be able to shoot enemies. You'll be using. I always have a choice of using like depending on what they're equipped with, of course. Pistols, rifles, shotguns, um, and those use ammo. And there are different types of ammo. There's just normal ammo. There's anti-personnel and armor-piercing ammo, and I'm pretty sure that speaks for itself. And enemies, some enemies will have armor. This goes for both the zombies and human opponents. Armor will make it, will of course make it tougher for you to harm them. Melee weapons, which can only be used while your character is in the front, um, depending on their attributes, may have an advantage against that or not. Blade weapons can usually pierce armor, and this armor will usually last for some period of time. Blade weapons will be able to break it faster. My God, went on kind of meandering here. So, so like I said, you have the back and front row, and you can move your characters across there. Your characters have action points. Usually, with each turn, they will only have two. One for attacking or moving the character um, between the rows, and for using items, for pretty well any action, and of course, another action point for whatever other actions you wish to perform. Skills. Your characters will have certain skills depending what weapon you choose to use. Can only be used at the beginning of the turn. Usually, they will cost an action point in order to use. And the different skills that the characters can use are, of course, depend on the weapon. Let's see how. Guns such as the pistols allow for using skills like debilitating shot and it'll take a while to explain, but certain skills have certain weapons have certain skills they can use. Pistols seem to favor disabling targets. Shotguns are more about pushing back targets, and rifles are about more group-based attacks, attacking multiple targets. Shotguns can do that as well, but the rifles are a bit more random about it. Melee weapons such as the blunt weapons, like crowbars and clubs, their skills are more about inflicting certain more about pushing back or inflicting stun attacks on the enemies, and maybe disabling putting like stats effects like slowing the enemies down and such. Blade weapons. I never really saw what skills besides blade thrusts that they do, which can push enemies back. During nah. Um, I'm doing more meandering there. I guess I should actually talk about the different enemies that you face here. Uh, yes, this, just like with how do we start on this here? There's different types of zombies. Obviously, uh, you'll have they're not the mutants such as like some other games like Left 4 Dead and such, but there are certain types of zombies that you'll be encountering, of course, and they all have their own special abilities. Ragers, for example, they're about being highly aggressive with combo multi-hit attacks, powering up and such. Just to give a few examples here. There are zombies. I'm not sure how a zombie would be going about this. Probably should be too not putting too much thought into this, but they can perform certain support for the other undead. Some other ones, like the Huntresses, can actually summon zombie animals like dogs and other canine-based um, enemies. That's another thing I actually forgot to mention for the player characters. You kind of I'm meandering. I just where yeah, I should go back to the player characters right quick here. Yeah, other abilities your characters can have. They can summon animals as well to assist them in battle. You can also summon turrets as well. A little gun that can assist in shooting enemies, but those are honestly, in my opinion, better suited as just a sort of a shield than being of any actual offensive use. The dogs, on example, are actually quite handy in battle. Honestly, a little dog's been done a lot more for me than a little gun has. That just pelts the enemies. um, Your characters can also use grenade type weapons. Just about anybody can do this, like Molotovs, stun grenades. Those actually can speak for themselves. There, Molotovs can burn enemies and catch them on fire for so many turns. The stun grenades can stun them. There are, of course, stats effects in this game, like the two examples I mentioned there. There's also poison. There's zombie infection as well. You need to have the Zomdex, I think that's what it's called, to cure it. Otherwise, in 3 days in game time, your character will die. Yeah, going back to the enemies, obviously the human enemies will be tougher than the zombies since they can use guns and such, and they're more likely to be armored than the zombies are. Combat in general can be pretty interesting and fun, but it is a you do of course want to avoid fights as much as possible if you can help it, to save on resources, such as healing items and such. Uh, let's see here. Um, well, and there's I guess other things about the gameplay. Quests. There's no actual over game time. Yeah, overall game time limit, unlike the previous one, which had that. But quests, of course, you got your bodyguard quests and go fetch that type of quests. Some have time limits on them, and do have some level of consequence for failing to do those. Um, uh, they vary. If you're doing a quest for another faction and you fail to complete that in a certain amount of time, you'll lose your standing with them. If you're doing a quest for a character, a party member, you fail to do that, they'll be mad at you and be of no use to you for some time. Um, and yeah, there's a lot to talk about here, and I'm doing a lot of meandering. um, let's see now. Really? Does anybody have any questions concerning the gameplay?
No.
I think I'm good. You've been pretty exhaustive.
Yeah, I know.
I'm good.
Let's see now. Yeah, I think I've covered just about. Well, there's a leveling. With each level, your characters gain skill points they can put into their various skills. Yeah, yeah, that is something I should mention right quick. Yeah, your characters have skills in like depending on the weapons that they use. Your main character, he can use either blunt or blade weapons, and you can put points into those. And what this does is give him varying, which each yeah, with each point you put into that skill, this gives them access to certain abilities, or improving their ability with that weapon. Otherwise, you have your now that's engineering and hunting skills. Engineering is what you would be using for your throwing weapons and and what can assist in like making medical supplies and such. The hunting skill is honestly kind of well, besides the fact that it allows you to summon animals and uh, it kind of gives them varying effects. I've noticed, um, like sometimes it improves your combat abilities. I was under the impression it affected your abilities with guns as well, but I've never really been too sure about that. That's the one um, skill that I've honestly never really figured out all that well and how it works. Um, Besides that, the the one thing I guess I shouldn't forget about is that yeah, it's a varying it's a replay capability replay value of this game. You'll definitely be getting a lot of that out of this game. That you at any point you could choose to restart your campaign in this game, and depending on your progress, you get rewarded for on that. I know they've done like two or three replays of this game, and because of how well I progressed on it, you can put in upgrades to your character to give them better starting equipment and such, as well as better stats as well. And of course, there are different difficulties in this game. There's the casual, there's the normal difficulty, and there's the hardcore difficulty, and all three of them involve permadeath, since of course that's for the survival aspect in the game. um, and with each playthrough you complete, you'll be able to start with one of the other factions besides um, the your Stevens camp or Jack's camp or Jason's camp, whatever it's called, where whatever the camp's called. In start with the Independents, the Smugglers, whoever you want to play as on the next playthrough. Anyway, so overall the gameplay, I actually liked it much better. It was definitely much more enjoyable being able to actually travel around on the world map and choosing what resources I wish to get instead of the more seemingly random resource gathering I seem to recall from the original game. Combat was much more complex in this game, which I actually liked much better. Actually, I looked at some footage of the original game's combat, and yeah, it's actually much better in this one. Uh, and and yeah, there's no stress of the overall time limit as well, and since that's just applied to quests, there is something of a time limit on this in this game, but it's not as stressful as the originals was. I'll leave that to anybody choosing to play this game to find out for themselves. So yeah, for the visuals, this is using the same visuals from the visual style of the original game. Characters have this highly detailed, um, realistic look to their character portraits during conversations. Yeah, everything's got this of what you would expect from an apocalyptic setting. Everything's dirty, dreary looking. Everything's all worn, broken down looking, such very suitable for the for its setting. The in-game models of the for the characters are when you're at the base or in combat or traveling through an area. They're all right. Don't really get a very up close look of them, but the characters, these zombies, looked good. Can't really say too much more about that. The Since the zombies aren't really up close in the face of the player themselves, can't really say that they're scary. Um, Combat itself can be stressful at times, though. Um, so yeah, the visuals are good. And that's the best I can really say on that. Very suited to the game, in my opinion. As for the audio, the music, yeah, music was one of the things I wasn't too crazy about for the original game. Here though, I actually liked it much better. From I was going off of what I can recall from the previous game. It's what you expect. The music is all somber most of the time. Though during battle, it's much more energetic. Um, but I recall the music for battles in the original not being very well suited for battles with when you're having encounters with the zombies. But here, much better choices. Honestly, nothing that would give you a sense of doom and gloom, but it's just more you're fighting a dangerous opponent type of deal. All right. Yes. Uh, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Going on to yeah, the music is good basically. Um, so currently the game's on sale for $10.79, usually going on a price of $17.99. Can I recommend this game? Yeah, I can recommend it. For somebody looking for an RPG involving the zombie apocalypse, I can recommend it at the normal price of $17.99, especially now at $10.79. Um, Especially since the game's continually getting plenty of bug fixes from time to time with its updates. And it's also got this bundle going on here. That if you want to get your original game, it'll be at the price of a. Well, I can't really say. So, uh, well, anyway, do I recommend the game? Yes, I do. And like I said, if you're looking for an RPG involving the zombie apocalypse, I say go for it. So, yeah, that's my review.
All right. So that'll about do it for not just the Dead Age 2 review here, but the review session. So coming up on the week ahead, let me see. On Wednesday, March 24th, we'll be having Mark Anthony Rodriguez and Charles Yu of Vox Pop. Now, Vox Pop is an interesting thing because it is a digital distribution services, as far as I can tell. Fairly new as well. A game that we featured last month. Demonizer is on it, and that's what led to this interview. So a bit non-standard for us, but that is no bad thing. No Friday show this week, and that's mainly because the guest that we had scheduled had to drop out. Just one of those. They got entirely too busy, and they'll get back to us when they are less busy, which means I will never hear from them again. Not even joking about that, by the way. That's happened more than once. No, they just never got less busy, if you will. It's not even being disingenuous. It's just game development is a busy occupation. Also worth noting, apparently Mac will be rejoining Fragments for the first time in however long it's been.
Mm-hmm. During MS Saga today, he said he doesn't plan on trying to take it over or anything, but he'll be taking a bit of a backseat. But I assume he'll be presenting his news segments and stuff. So we'll see how it goes.
Right. I mean, obviously, he's not going to be able to take over. For fuck's sakes, I do all the planning of the guests and the topics and all that shit. Even if like that were to occur, I don't think anyone else would have a clue as to what to do. So, but it's like I would I'm a bit concerned about max contributions in terms of like if we're talking about modern stuff that's not related to say mobile game, anything he's streaming, because I do know he doesn't follow the game industry like we do. But
I did mention that, yes.
Okay.
And he said he's willing to take a while to see how he could get more into it, I guess. But
yeah, it's like I figured he's going to be fairly quiet at the beginning, just because of he's just he's deciding to reintegrate like right in the middle of a fucking season and all that stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But aside from that, until Wednesday, I shall wish you good gaming.